Welcome back, my friends, to an episode of TFT HyperRoll from Mission for Tuition. It's called Mission for Tuition because we are trying to raise money for our son's middle and high school tuition. He has to go to a ridiculously expensive special school. And we make the money only through views, not donations, nothing like that. The only way we ask you to help is by feeding the YouTube algorithm. Like, comment, subscribe, watch the whole video. The more views it gets, the more money we raise for tuition. And with that said, let's get started. In this game, I did one of my favorite things, which is pick up a tanky character with a tanky item, singed with a chain vest. Now, the mantra I usually use in these videos is to listen to the game, and I still think that is the best idea. However, every once in a while, you have to listen to your gut. And even though this game showed me a clear sign of wanting to go Chemtech by giving me a Zac, a Singed, and a Twitch, something in my head was telling me it just didn't feel right. And even though I didn't have an Arcanist, I decided to pick up the Arcanist heart and then see what I could build. I had two Bruisers with Zac and Trundle and felt maybe I could do something with that. It just felt more solid to me in the moment. And it starts off fairly well because Trundle is a very strong unit. And of course, Zac is very tanky, and so is Darius. Given the opportunity to pick up an early spatula, I go for it because it's going to allow me potential to make many, many things down the line. And even though at this point I'm not making any use of that early augment I picked up, I'm still doing fairly well. Getting an early Zac has helped a ton since he's able to keep things under control. Now, since I have an Arcanist buff, I figure I might as well use it and get an Arcanist into the match. But that isn't necessarily going to save everything here. While Zac is able to bring them in, and Darius can definitely do some good damage, once they line up right in front of Azira, where she's going to hit them both, it's pretty much done. Now again, I said earlier that this game was more about following my gut than necessarily what the game was telling me. I picked up the recursive bow originally with the thought of making a second Titan's Resolve, but then, when I got the 2-star Twisted Fate, I decided I could turn Trundle into a Syndicate and now create the Syndicate buff along with Twisted Fate. So I'm now running Bruisers, Arcanists, and Syndicate. Now let me take you through my crazy thinking on this at this point as we watch this fight in hyperspeed. Trundle generally needs some type of lifesteal in order to be viable, and I figure if I can get to the 5 Syndicates, then he automatically gets some lifesteal. So at this point, I'm hoping to get to 5 Syndicates and possibly a much stronger Trundle. This gut feeling is confirmed by the second augment, which gives me Shrug It Off. I just got lucky because I didn't necessarily know that's what it was going to hand me. But after one more reroll and seeing more Trundles, I think I'm going to head into the Bruiser direction and try to make Trundle a carry by playing into the Syndicate buff along with the Bruiser buff. But in all reality, this game is still a little bit of a mess because I started with an Arcanist heart, so I do want to continue to make use of that by building that up. So I'm a little torn whether to just abandon it and stay with 2 Arcanists or try to go for more. Due to a bunch of good rolls going into the NPC round, I decided to lean into Arcanists as I had gotten a 2-star Malzahar and a 2-star Swain. And also the items I got further sealed how I wanted this to play out. I was now able to put an additional Bloodthirster onto Trundle to give him more lifesteal, and also had the items to put a Hextech Gunblade onto Malzahar. As I mentioned in my tips video, the Hextech Gunblade is incredibly effective on Malzahar since he does damage over time. He ends up doing healing over time, and you can see the waves of healing going to the champions as he is also doing damage. And while right now it feels like this is going really well, I know I'm sort of on a razor's edge. I'm not quite strong enough in the Bruiser or Syndicate department to make those buffs really worth something, and while I have decent Arcanists, I don't have the really powerful ones. And once again, I'm kind of breaking my own rule. I probably should grab Runic Shield, but something in my gut says go for High Roller because I think I can end up with a gold Trundle and then the proper number of bruisers and really make this comp work. I give it a shot, loaded die onto Trundle, and boom, we have ourselves a gold Trundle with a Titan's Resolve Bloodthirster and who is also a Syndicate. So for the moment, I still have the 5 Arcanists, but I have the gold Trundle, who is going to be very strong, especially with Malzahar just pouring out heals to him and to everyone else on the team. But Trundle just powers up as the match goes on, and the Bloodthirster just gives him more and more healing as his attacks get stronger and stronger with each successive ult, ultimately allowing him to win. And at some level here, I wonder if Gary's taunting me because after I passed on the Runic Shield, I end up with a Lux and a Victor and the kind of Arcanist items and champions that I was looking for, but I really can't complain with a gold Trundle. The NPC gave me a blue buff, so I decided it's time to put Lux into the game, and I tried using my remaining loaded die to get her up to 2 stars, but did not have any luck with that. I decided to get rid of Malzahar because I want to put the Hextech Gunblade onto Lux along with the blue buff, so she's going to be casting very, very often. Also with a Victor, I can go back to the 6 Arcanist, which is going to increase everyone's spell power team-wide. That is, of course, going to make Trundle's ults even more powerful while he continues to regen health from both the Bruiser buff that we got as an augment and, of course, his Syndicate buff and his Bloodthirster. All in all, it's making him incredibly strong. One of the things I like about this type of build is you end up with 2 completely different points of damage. You have Lux pouring out the AP damage and then Trundle pouring out AD damage, so it's very difficult for a team to specifically build against it. You don't necessarily come across builds like this all the time. This is really a mishmash of things, but it really seems to work out because while that Dragon's Claw is protecting him from Lux, it's not protecting him from Trundle. And with that win, we are into the top 4. And time to put the cat into the game. Having found a 2-star Mundo, we flipped out Zac for Mundo because Mundo is a stronger unit, and that Warmogs is going to be fantastic on him since Mundo scales off of health. Finding a 2-star Victor, well, that's just a little extra bonus at this point. We're also going to keep feeding the Tahm Kench just in case we can actually end up getting a 2-star. But at this point, we're going to just keep feeding him and looking for him, but keep Mundo in at this point because that will be the stronger unit. And again, I can't stress enough the importance of 2 points of damage. Here, Trundle is completely frustrated as he gets hit with too much tank to deal with. Lux, on the other hand, is able to clean house along with Yuumi and just finish them off. Now, I've always kind of wondered what happens if you feed a champion with items to Tahm Kench, and I decide it's time to find that out. Luckily, it gives you a globe and he spits the items back out, which you can put right back on him. So now we have an incredibly strong 2-star Tahm Kench to go along with our gold Trundle. And of course, wouldn't you know it, it comes down to us against one of the Yordle teams, and it's a Yordle team that can quickly dispatch of my gold Trundle. But I don't think they expected the 2-star Tahm Kench to be quite as evil as he is, as he's simply gobbling people up and spitting them out, allowing Lux then to get in her attacks, but it's Tahm Kench who gets the last lick and spits them out for the victory. This game was a little wild. I went more with my gut than with what the game was telling me, but it all worked out in the end. Hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.